Welcome back to the Cultural Mindset. My name is Kingsley, and my co-host
Patrick from DRC Congo represent only one way.
Gotta do all that.
You know where we at every single time in the Coast Studios. What's going on, Kingsley?
Shout out, bro. Shout out. So I know it's been a while, man. We've been on. What happened, Patrick? Man, it's been a minute.
Man, my sister got married. She got married, so we had to take some time off there. She married a Nigerian.
In Nigeria. Hey, we're gonna talk about that later. Yeah, today we're gonna talk about why Africans, diaspora Africans, and first generation Africans in the U.S. why we don't relate to each other. So we have guests.
Wonderful guests.
Guests from different side of the world, different side of Africa, matter of fact. And so we're gonna quickly go and introduce. So go ahead and say your name, where you're from, and if you were born in Africa or born in the U.S.
Yes. Starting here.
My name is Stephanie. I'm Nigerian. I was born and raised in Nigeria.
Shout out to Nigeria.
Okay, that's one Nigerian.
Shout out to Nigeria.
One Nigerian.
My name is Michelle, and I was born in Zimbabwe and raised in South Africa, and I'm an immigrant.
Okay. Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Everybody's good. Yeah.
All right. So my name is Somto. I was born and raised in Nigeria.
Shout out to Nigeria.
Well.
Shout out to Nigeria. Shout out to Nigeria.
Go ahead, continue. We already know.
We do this every time. Sorry, go ahead.
My name is Adana. I'm Nigerian, and I was born and raised here in Texas.
Texas. Okay. Shout out to Texas.
There we go. Represent
Nigeria.
Hello, my name is Comfort. I'm from Togo. I was born in Togo and raised here mostly.
That's the first Togolese. Is it Togolese? Like,
it's Togolese. It's not Togian like people say.
Thanks for the correction.
Togolese.
Like Congolese.
Congolese. What language do you speak?
Je parle français.
Okay.
But what did you ask? What did you ask?
Tu parles français?
Je parle français.
Oh, bien,
Tout le
bien,
monde
bien.
parle français. See, my people be trying to act like I don't speak French, but
Patrick,
for the internet.
Patrick, how do you say I'm
Parle français.
hungry in French?
J'ai faim. Am I right?
Bien
Quit
sûr.
playing with me. People, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, bro. I'm cold.
Put it on your resume.
You feel me? Man.
So, yes, we have. So, thank you so much for coming. So, the topic, like we said, we're going to talk about why Africans, diaspora Africans in the U.S. specifically, don't relate to Africans born in the U.S. So, we're going to pop it over to a question, general question. So, what differences do you think exist between Africans in diaspora and first generation Africans in the U.S.? Start off with you. What differences do you think, generally speaking?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is maybe not being ingrained in the culture, and maybe the expectation of us that were born back home is higher than those that were born here. So that's the first one that pops up in my mind. It's like, since you were born back home, you should already know like how to behave, especially when it comes, for example, like if guests come over, don't just sit there, you greet them, you set the table, all that stuff. So yeah, the traditional and cultural aspects is the main difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
I would say environment, struggles. The struggles are different. There's not that much corruption in America, so I mean there is, but it's more covered. I'll say that. Let me not be political, but I would have.
We can open that door. Yeah, you can say that.
I would have to just say like the environment for sure. It's like the main one I think.
Main difference. Okay. Cool. So too.
For me, I would say lack of exposure. So in the sense, we Africans, the reason why we Africans don't value, or I wouldn't say value, right? I don't want to say something to but the reason why we don't relate to the ones born over here, it's more of lack of exposure. I see them as, these ones, they no grow for Nigeria.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This one's the no growth for Nigeria. Ajebo. You understand my point? So another case, like, okay, lack of exposure in the sense don't know the culture well. They don't know how to cook.
Ooh.
Me as an African man, I like my pussy.
Hey.
I like my obono. So when I meet a lady, right, that, oh yes, she has a Nigerian parents, or you start to relate, and then you find out that maybe she has potential to become a wife material. Then you find out that everything, this woman fits your description, but everything you're looking for is not there yet. It's just one thing missing. She don't know how to cook. She don't know the culture well to the point that I want. Then that brings indifferences in that sense. So I would say lack of exposure.
Lack of exposure.
Okay.
Good point.
Okay. I feel like I'm just gonna repeat everything that everybody else has said. 'Cause it's all true. The exposure, the culture, and I also feel like the way that I'm assuming our parents are all African, the way that they handle us, the ones that were raised back home and the ones that were raised here, because I don't think like in the level of corporal punishment, I don't think we can match, because I do understand like in America, the corporal punishment is like, why are you beating up your child? It's beating up your child. And I got beat up, but they don't say beat up, they say disciplining. So I just feel like there's a difference in terms of the ways we were disciplined, the ones that grew up in Africa, and the ways that the discipline was given to those that grew up here. And as a result, the way you're disciplined shapes your behavior. And so we behave differently because we were disciplined differently.
Okay. Good point. All right.
One of the difference I would say for Africans born in the diaspora and those born here in the U.S. is upbringing and the American social expectation versus the Nigerian expectations. Those born in the disconnect is where the upbringing here, most of them are tied to their Nigerian. For instance, I'm Nigerian. The Nigerian culture based on their parents, their friends, and the community they grew up with, and then when they attend Nigerian events, that way they uphold the Nigerian culture. Whereas those in Nigeria, born and raised in Nigeria, got a first-hand experience in being Nigerian, the upbringing, the culture, how to respect your elders, how to cook the food, how to even speak the language. And those born here, if they can speak the language, it's because their parents made the conscious effort to teach them the language. So when those two Nigerians but different upbringings collide, there's a difference and a disconnect based on upbringing, and then being two identity, being Nigerian first and being American, whereas the other one are full Nigerian based on upbringing and values.
Interesting. So, upbringing. Patrick, what you think?
I'm gonna represent the other side. I mean, the thing is it's a real disconnect on the other side too, but I think it's things that we need to develop. We need to develop on both sides. So, like for example, what's an example I can have? Okay, so for example, being African, having tattoos. We all religious where we come from, but having a tattoo is like, man, that's a sin. Like if you have one small tattoo here, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, what is that? What do you have a tattoo? You making me look bad. This is shame on the family. This is and that. And it's like there's another world you got to learn, a mentality you got to adapt with, because some things that are traditional hurt where we come from, certain mentalities. So when you come over here, I think there needs to be some things that we're open to, but really, as far as Congolese, even if you're from there, you're closed off. Yeah. So I dated a Congolese girl, fresh off the boat is how we say it. This came here. That's how some people
fresh out the boat.
Fresh out the boat. That's what the people say. And we had such a disconnect because I couldn't tell what was her personality versus what was the culture. So it was like, dang, there's a disconnect between, like, for example, she would say, oh, you didn't do something. I said, is that personal or is that what I'm supposed to do being a Congolese man?
Congolese culture. Yeah.
So it's like, there's a huge disconnect there, but it was things that I'm like, is it that big of a deal? But for her, it's like, no, it is. But then I'd be like, but we're in America. And she'd be like, but you're Congolese.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're always going to have that clash where it's like,
Yeah.
man, let that go. And they're like, no, you need to learn that.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is finding that balance.
Yeah.
What do we need to let go and what do we need to learn?
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like I got more to learn than to let go.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up, because you said, this is America. And I hear that a lot. And when you're in a diaspora, right? And then you meet someone the first generation, they say, well, this is America. Well, between someone that was born in Africa, someone that were born in the U.S., so who needs to learn from who, right? For example, a Nigerian or a Congolese or, a Togolese is born back home and born here. Who needs to learn from who? So who is seeking to learn about their roots, right? So what do y'all think? Who needs to learn from who?
I think there are things that we can both learn from each other, whether you're born in Africa or you're born over here, right? For example, whenever he was talking about, describing a woman and maybe she has all of these parts, but she doesn't know how to cook the traditional foods. The positive thing about learning directly from the source, right? For example, I'm Igbo. If your mom teaches you how to make traditional Igbo food, you're learning straight from the source. And that's a very good, thing to learn. On the American side, right? Especially in Nigeria, there's not really an emphasis on mental health as there is in America. You'll see mad people on the street in the market. So in America, right, you have resources to go and get help if you need it, whether it's praying to God or going into therapy. So I think there's positive things that you can learn on both sides, taking care of yourself, paying attention to, your mind, and also really learning about where you come from, the food, where you grew up, the stories of your village. My dad always taught us about, the stories of our village. And I know obviously we don't pray to deities, but learning about different deities or how they did things back then, or, things like that, very cultural things, so that you can pass that on to your kids. So I think there's positive things that you can learn from both sides. So
I heard mental health.
Yeah,
That's
I said a lot.
Yeah.
And then also, she did say a lot.
No, but mental health is one thing. But I don't know how much, people value mental health
back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They
is it
don't.
something that it's man, that ain't nothing serious. That's weak American Western.
Yeah, what is depression?
What is
You can't be
depression?
depressed.
Depression don't exist to my dad. He's
you
like,
be anxious.
what is depression? I mean,
Yeah.
what are you depressed about? You grew up here.
You grew up here. You have everything on your
You have
plate.
everything you need,
Yeah,
everything we didn't have, and you weren't depressed.
See that? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the differences. Our parents don't see. It's appreciate everything. There are people that would die to be here in your place, so appreciate it. That kind of thing, which is understandable, right? I mean, because this is the
true.
land of opportunity. We're here, and we have to appreciate what we have. There are people that would kill to do anything to even be here.
That's true.
So mental health is a lot of Americans talk about mental health a lot. So why is it that our people back home don't really take mental health serious, or just like Patrick said, it's not a thing, or it doesn't exist? So why do you think they don't take it serious?
I think because it's, I think in Africa, it's way more religious, which is not a bad thing. Okay, I think that sometimes being mad is associated to demons. There's a demonic entity that has possessed you, right? And there's not an approach to it in a scientific manner, in a more logical manner. But that's not their fault. There's a lack of, what's the word? If you think something is bad, you don't want to study about it, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I think it's more so associated to that. We're not going to learn about something that we think is demonic, and we think that if somebody's mad, something must have possessed them. So I think that's why, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle just doesn't allow for mental health issues. When I say that, I wanna think of my grandmother, who she could almost be 90 right now. And if I look at a woman that's 90 in America, they're in an old age home because your kids grew up and they left you and they went about their own lives. And even though you can't do a lot for yourself, your kids are paying for a nursing home for you to be in there. And you're just sitting there and you're all alone, and there's a bunch of other old people, and then there's other nurses, and how can you not be depressed? How can you not have anxiety? How can you not have all these feelings? Compared to my grandmother, who right now, okay, maybe with the time difference, but I know that if I call her during the day, I won't find her idle. She'll be telling me, I've gone to the market to go buy something, and I've gone to the market to go do this, or I need to make sure that I cook, or I need to, like, she just stays active all the time. Like, in her mind, she's always active. In whatever she's doing, like, physically, she's just always active. There's always something going on that she has to do, like, in all hours of the day. And she doesn't let the day just go, and she sits and doesn't do anything. And mind you, all her kids are out of the house. But they didn't put her in a home. They left her to stay in her house, but she still stayed active, doing things. And sometimes, like, her kids will come and visit and stay for some time. They don't just leave her alone, you know. So I think the lifestyle itself, like, I understand this is my grandmother. She's an older person. Even if you are your young self back home, I think I don't really think I got depressed back home, because you'd wake up in the morning, you'd know I have to go to work, I have to do this, and I've got to do school, and there's always people around. It's not like you're constantly alone all the time. Like back home, there was your friends there, you've got your family. The minute you want to start crying, somebody's gonna stop you and be like, hey, why are you crying? Why? We need to eat. Focus. Hello, like, make food. So there's just the lifestyle itself just didn't. Yes, like, I know, like, back home we still, relationship problems were still there, all these other things that you have in America, they're still there, but the lifestyle itself kept you so busy that you didn't have time to be depressed. And if you got anxious, something would happen that would make you focus on other things for you to not focus on your anxiety. So I don't know. And Decembers were always lit. Decembers are not lit in this country.
I have to. I agree.
I just don't know.
Patrick, can you agree?
I can't agree.
You can't relate. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can't relate.
You don't know December back home. It's because it's cold in this country in December, but in December back home, it's warm. It's summer. It's summer back home.
Dirty December.
Dirty December.
Right.
Nigeria,
Dirty December. What is dirty December?
Patrick with the questions.
I just want to know.
Us that were born here, you know, we go back home, you know, and we just, you know, connect back to your roots. You go out, you have a good time. I've not experienced Dirty December myself. We always go to the east, but yeah.
It's just it just means a fun time.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not nothing dirty. It's not dirty. It's just like it's just a fun time. Just have a good time.
Okay.
And so
I'm just thinking. I mean, I don't know. Dirty means a lot of things, man. In America,
Patrick,
it's called communication.
It's spelled DETTY, not DILTY.
The connotation is
Yeah, the connotation. You know,
Patrick.
dirty. You know, but now I understand the difference. That T. Okay. See, but that's one thing that I think that's another part of it. You know what I'm saying? That makes it a struggle, because I heard dirty, and I'm thinking, man, what y'all got going over there? What's dirty? Nah, it's not that. That's one of the things. It's like, man, I wish I understood, but I still don't know what it is. Y'all just have a good time, but
it's just like fun, just fun time.
People
Go
are
out.
just outside.
Go out,
outside,
kill live chicken and eat it,
stuff
not
like
the
that.
frozen one.
Get chased by the masquerade.
Yes.
It's fun. It's just like, you know, it's an experience. It's just like a community. That's what is, you know, December is the best time to go. That's why a lot of people, they save up their vacation time and they go home in Nigeria. They go home back home. I keep saying Nigeria. I'm Nigerian. Leave me alone. But they go back home in December, because that's when it's fun. That's the best time. The weather's beautiful. And mosquitoes don't really bite. And family is coming home. And then it's dry season, so it's more fun. There's a lot more fun. People go to the beach and things like that. So I did want to ask. Yeah. So I want to.
I think never gonna. What are you gonna say?
I want to hear about the mental health thing. Like, what are your take on that mental health? First.
Well, to repeat what you said about the difference between a 90-something-year-old lady living in America and a 90-something-year-old living back in Africa. So America, me, I've been living here, and I noticed that America has an individualistic culture. And back in Africa, there's communalism.
That's true.
Communal living, where they are family, they are friends.
True.
And if you are lonely, you have your neighbors that will check up on you.
True.
Unlike in America, you can live in your apartment, and if you don't come out for 1 or 2 weeks, nobody knows. Unless maybe you have family or friends that will call, and then they can't get to you. But in Nigeria, if your neighbor don't see you for 1 week or even 3 days, they will knock at the door. Hey, Mama no so.
Yeah.
Are you inside the house? Where are you? And most people do everything themselves here in the US. If you want to throw a party, if you don't have friends, you throw that party yourself. If you want to take picture, if you don't have friends, you go buy a tripod and take your pictures yourself with a remote.
Yeah.
But when you live back home, you have friends, you have acquaintances, you have family members, you have cousins that come visit, play with you. So when you're in that community, mental health is frowned upon, because why will you have mental health in Nigeria when you have these communal resources around you? Why are you depressed? Go outside and touch grass. There's sun every day, vitamin D. Yeah. But here in America, there's vitamin D, but you're not experiencing the vitamin D. You're inside your car with AC on. You're in your house with AC on. Low vitamin D. But in Nigeria, I'm sure they have high vitamin D when you go do their lab work, because there's no AC like that. You go out and there's sun. Jump from bus to bus and you're finding yourself. So why will you be depressed?
Exactly. There's so much to keep you mentally occupied. So
Yes.
even think about being depressed.
I think it's just the difference of community. That's why mental health is frowned upon back home, and it's something that people pay attention to in the US because of the individualistic lifestyle in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to add to that is, I think back home things are hard enough. The economy is bad. Presidents aren't leading the country well. So like you don't have time to come and sit around and be like, oh, I'm depressed, because you're looking for like your daily bread, right? And also, I mean, your parents, like, the basic training is there's no depression. So I think the economy itself pushes you to just be resilient, and so that awareness of the importance of like mental health is not there.
So we have I have this discussion with my cousins and stuff. So how would y'all, somebody says, I'm going through a mental health issue, like I experience, no, let's make it on the normal side. I'm just so depressed because I feel lonely. I need to take medications to get rid of my depression. And I believe, like, like, let's say somebody said, or I need to go see let's not even do meds. Let's say I need to go see a therapist, which for me, I'm kind of like, some of my cousins did therapy, and I'm like, what? We African, man, we don't need therapy. So I don't know what for those who would you say true talk? Yeah. We're African, so what is therapy? But I'll get crucified and be like, what? No, you need therapy. Don't undervalue therapy. This and that.
Right.
But it's like that's how we came up. Like, okay, number one, I can't be depressed. Number two, if I am depressed, it's like you said, go touch grass. You know what I'm saying? Like go do something.
Right.
Or number three, the last thing I'm thinking of is therapy. So I'm thinking like that's a Western thing. That's to the point where I think it's like, man, you too Westernized a little bit.
Right.
You lost yourself a little bit. But it's going to be different amongst those born here who grew up versus those who are not. I would love to hear feedback on both sides, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, back home, just like they were saying, we have a community, right? Back home, you're not alone. You have family. Back home, an average person had a maid. You don't need to be rich to have a maid.
Right.
In the average household, you have a maid that cooks and cleans, takes care of the kids. So that way, it relieves the pressure of having to do everything. But in the U.S., you do everything. In the Igbo culture, we have this thing called omugo, which means like the mom, when a woman gives birth, the mom will come to take care of the kid. But here in the U.S., she's alone. The mom doesn't have to come. She can come, but even if she wanted to come, she's too busy working. Everybody's working. Everybody's to themselves. So I think that's what causes depression. People just being lonely, feeling alone. You can see someone, they'll be in the middle of a bunch of people smiling, laughing. You think, oh man, that person, they're happy. But then when they go home, they're depressed, they're alone. They go home to their apartments, lonely apartments, living alone. So that's another thing, living alone here is so common. You go to most apartments is occupied by single people who are just living alone with their dogs and cats. But back home, we live, either you are married. If you're not married, you're living with your family member, you're living with a maid, you're living with somebody, cousin, roommate, classmate, somebody. So it's very common to live with family or live with people. So there's no room for someone to fall into depression because they have people to help them out. Because life has a lot of challenges. We're not supposed to go through life alone. So I think that's in the US, it's so common, everybody's alone. So that leads to depression. Right?
True.
So does that answer your question?
But if somebody is feeling that way, would you say go get community or go to therapy?
Community, bro, honestly. I mean, therapy can only do so much. I mean, what can drugs do for you? It's only temporary relief, right? And then after that, you're back to where you were.
So therapy, no.
I think community, having people around you.
So you're against therapy?
I'm not against Patrick. I am not against, for the record, I'm not against therapy or therapists. No. But I think at the end of the day, even if you go get therapy, you go meet your doctor, you go home to that loneliness at home. And that depression is going to seep back in.
Okay, I got a follow-up question. I'll let everybody speak to it though, but I got a follow-up question.
I feel... Sorry.
Come forward, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like you're very right. You're very right, Kingsley. Like, if people have community, they don't feel like they need therapy. But I'm going to speak from a personal point of view because I was like first year in America when I got here and I realized how lonely it is.
Yeah.
Like if you're not lonely. Like everybody's just working, my parents working, everybody's just working, and then I got alone. And then it's not like you call for it to come. It's not like you're like, hey, depression, where are you? Let me just come get you. No. It seeps in slowly by itself. And then later on, like I just started feeling depressed and having anxious thoughts and having panic attacks. And then I had to be like, what's the solution now? If I go talk to my mom about it, we're going to be praying for 7 days and 7 nights and fasting. So I was like, okay, maybe I can try that too. But like at the end of the day, like I would never say no to a person that wants to go to therapy because I've tried it. Like I've tried therapy and it has downsides too. Sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. Sometimes you meet a therapist, and what's so crazy is the therapist I had was an American. So now when I'm telling you that this is the problem I'm facing,
they don't get it
at home, he's like, why don't you just move out? And I'm like, you don't understand. I like being at home, but I'm just having this problem. Let's just talk about it. And he's like, no, you're a grown person. Go live by yourself.
That was what I was going to go. I was going to go right there, but I was going to wait. I was going to wait, but I was going to go there.
And where he's coming from, he's not wrong. Because that's what happens in this country. Yeah. That's when you turn 18, gone. Yeah. Get out. I was 19 and still getting disciplined. Back home. Wow. Here it's like you're 18, you should leave the house.
I stopped at 14.
So that's where I feel like the therapy will not work. But if you find yourself a therapist that is aligned with your own culture, like it's really important, because otherwise it won't work. Your own cultural views, your own religious views, everything, then maybe you can actually find and then if you really take time to think about it, you can find that person within family, you can find that person within community too. Absolutely. So I would never say no to community, but then again, sometimes you tell this auntie, next thing you know your mom knows everything, next thing you're like, there's that problem too. So sometimes you might need to find an outsider. You just need to find an outsider that's aligned and you can talk, because what it is just it's to talk, right? To communicate and let everything that's inside you come out, like all the bad, and then you feel free. So, yeah.
Anything to add before?
Is it weakness for men? Would you see it as weakness for men if they're like, man, I'm going to therapy?
For me, I would say...
Hold the mic closer.
Oh, okay. For me, I would say it's up to the man. If it's an elderly man, definitely go for therapy. But if you're in your mid-20s, 30s, why you need therapy? I mean, you can go do something else. I'm a very avid believer of Christ, right? And my Bible taught me that if you are going through depression, anxiety, that is of the devil. that is not of God.
Yeah.
You know, let's say you want to go into something, you want to say okay, let me just give you the scenario. You apply for 2 jobs, all right? The first one calls you, the second one calls you. And this second one that calls you is telling you, oh, I'm going to offer you 100K. The first one say, I'm going to offer you 70K. Now, you as a person, you choose 100K. I'm just saying, you as a person, you choose 100K. You can hear me right?
Yeah.
You as a person, you choose 100K, not knowing that if you go on your knees and pray to God, and that God is going to reveal things to you. Most people don't know. He's going to reveal things to you that you should go for the 70K job, because on the long run, that's going to benefit you. And the reason why most Americans suffer depression, anxiety, is because a lot of them do not go to church. I put that out there. A lot of them don't have joy. They're not they're joyful people. You can come across someone and just, hello, how you doing? Just talk to themselves. Why? The average Nigerian, you go on the street and you approach him. Papa, what's going on? The vibes is there.
True. Yeah.
I'm telling you. So with this depression of a teen, to my point, if a man tells me he's going through depression, I will go away from you. I don't have nothing to tell you. I'm going to tell you, hey, go read your Bible, and if you're not willing to do that, I'm sorry, I have nothing to say. I'm out.
Straight up. Straight up.
Go read the Bible, no
Okay.
therapy.
Okay.
I think you can combine having a relationship with God and also therapy as well. I am a strong believer in Christ, and also going to therapy, especially like marital counseling before getting married, or just, trying to figure out who you are as a person. So I believe you can combine the two, and I do believe, like he said, that if you are experiencing, depression, anxiety, first go to the Lord, because He's going to restore you. Like, He's the only source that can, restore your heart and everything. So, if that's not working, talk to somebody, anybody. It doesn't have to be a licensed therapist, but we are human. Holding hate in your heart or sadness in your heart allows the enemy to enter you. So I feel like, even if it's not, a therapist, just talk, have that community, like we're all talking about. Have that community, talk to somebody about how you're feeling, and go to God, pray, because, He will change your heart, He will restore your mind and renew your mind. So, yeah.
I have a follow-up question, because we brought it up. Getting pushed to live on your own, to be alone. Because I'm assuming, like, if you live at home with your parents, you're not really alone. But the older you get, the more, the more kind of resistance you have with your parents,
Yeah.
in a sense. So you look for your own. But then it's rebellious. It's just kind of like you're more independent, and they're telling you, hey, why is this on the floor in your room? Something like that. So it can be a multiple. Wash the dishes I just came home from work. We'll do the dishes, help out in the house. So it's like you get kind of pushed to be out on your own when you're kind of brought up here. Is that not something that y'all would, like, are y'all against that? Or, like, not to go into dating, but even if you're a man and you want to date, like for African women who are not born here but come here, could you date a man that lives at home, and is that normal versus today in America versus, back home? Like, I hope, does that make sense?
Are you?
I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like maybe back home, if a man was 37, I don't know if that's it, I'm just making it up, like 37, still looking for a wife, but he lived at home with his parents. Is that a problem for those who are from
you
there?
asking women who are born here and women who were born
Yes.
in Africa? Okay.
Yeah, so just trying to paint the different scenarios, because over here, if I'm 33 and I go to you and I say, hey,
Yeah.
I'm interested in you, but
you
I'm
live at home.
and I live at home.
Yeah.
How acceptable is that in today's world versus, like, if you're in Africa? Oh, that's nothing. Yeah, of course. All guys live at home with their parents in their 30s.
Yeah, it depends on the woman. I think if you were to ask me, it probably wouldn't be the expected response. But in today's society, if you're asking a girl that's born here, most of them would be like, no. Most of them would be like, no, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah. And it also depends on where the guy is from culturally, too.
Okay.
So, and understanding, you have to be understanding. And, so it depends on your heart, who you are as a woman, and where you're from.
Maybe say why.
Huh?
Why? Why would you say no?
Why would I say no?
Yeah, I'm
What do you mean?
33 and I live at home with my parents.
You're asking me.
Yeah. Why would that turn you off? Because you're African.
No, I'm not saying no.
No, I'm just a scenario. Not really you saying no, but why would somebody say no to that?
I think it's just society, like Western society. I think they would like judge you and say like, why are you not like out of the house? Like it's normal for most men at that age to be out of the house, to be living on their own. So that's when you get online, that's what you see, so I think that's the society that we're surrounded by.
For me, I don't think back in Nigeria, 37-year-old man is living at home. He's probably, or a 33-year-old person living at home. He's probably own his own house or his own apartment, and doing well for himself and taking care of his parents and maybe younger siblings who are living at home. But for me, born and raised in Nigeria and living here, if I'm approached by someone, a man in his 30s who lives at home, it depends on how he contributes living at home. Is he living at home with his parents because he's the one who owns the house and is the one paying the bills for the people he's living with? Or is he living at home because he can't stand on his own feet and is relying on his parents or maybe siblings to pay his way? That means he's not stable. So I would say no to such man because he's not stable on his own 2 feet, so he needs to rely on family members for him to be living at home. And the same to be said of a man who is back in Nigeria living on his own, with family. That means he's not stable. So yes, I'll say no to dating.
How old? What's the standard in Nigeria for a man expected to be out on his own?
Late 20s. Most men in late 20s because they are done with undergrad, university, and most Nigerians, I'll not generalize, finish university at the age of in their early 20s or mid 20s, and then most of them get their first job. So late 20s.
I'll say even early 20s too, because I'm Igbo, right, and I have a lot of Igbo friends that as soon as they got through, like they got done with high school, they went straight into entrepreneurship, and stuff like that. So a lot of them leave in their early 20s, 18, 19, 20.
But what about those in Nigeria who they graduate, maybe they take their exam and they're not able to like get a job? That happens a lot as well.
They go straight into entrepreneurship. They go learn from the master, learn a trade from a master, and become a boss after a settlement.
One thing I want to highlight before we move on is maturity back home is not the same as here. For example, someone that is 19 back home is at the same maturity level as someone that's 25 here. Right? So
based off of what?
Based off of just the way they grew up, upbringing, and challenges of life. The challenges most people face here is not the same challenges we face back home, right? So based on those experiences in life and people, community, people tend to mature faster back home. So a man that is 30 in Nigeria is most likely out the house, because he's probably like at the maturity level of 47.
At 47?
Yeah, he's like the same maturity level mentally as someone that is 47 in the U.S. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just how it is. People have just mature younger than
the responsibility put on the man child in Nigeria is vastly different. Like guys who be in their mid-20s, so even early 30s are taking care of their mom, paying their mom's bill. And if they have younger siblings, maybe paying their high school fees or feeding. So at the age of 30, they are already man of their own world.
Yeah, even one of my cousins, he's 20 years old and he's already paying bills and he's already like taking care of his family. He's like, can you help me with this? I need to take care of my family. Like anything you can, like, he's 20. Right, and he has like 6 or 7 siblings.
And he's taking care of all of them?
Yeah. He's like, I want to help my family. What can you help me? Like, I want to take care of my family.
And if it's a
but
first
he's
child,
talking like that. He's like 20. He's talking like that. His mind is already, I want to take care of my family. But here, an average 20-year-old man is at the club partying and drinking and sleeping around.
Yeah.
Right. So, so that's the maturity difference. Yeah. So,
what were we gonna say?
Yeah, I'm done. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't want to even brag, but at the age of 9, I left my parents. I joined the junior navy at the age of 9, so it starts very early, bro.
Yeah.
At the age of 9,
At the age of 9 is, if you see my parents, you can ask them. I joined the junior navy. I was gonna become an officer, right? So from 9 to 15, spent 6 years in the junior navy, and then I was gonna become a senior officer. You go to the ND and stuff like that, but as soon as you're done with the junior, you have to take the exam, and then it takes about 9 months before you join the senior. So I knew what I was going to do with my life very early. So it depends on your parents. If you as a person, like it starts very early, they start bringing you up very early. That's why you see a lot of them. At the age of 18, you can go to jail in Nigeria. You know, it's not no joke. 18 is the adult age. So a lot of them, they start hustling very early. You see what I'm saying? 16, 18, boys are in the street trying to get their money to feed their parents, trying to, you know. So, and just like Kinsley said, 19 to 25. It's just facts. Like we are, I don't know. It's just that's something in us. Like we want to better ourselves. Like we want to drive the latest Benz. Want to be.
Odogu.
Yeah.
Want to be Odogu at an early age. Patrick, you remember Odogu?
I remember Odogu.
Yeah, we taught him that word. Yeah.
I learned that word the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, So we do want to. Y'all brought up some really good points. So we do want to jump into the next session. Do you want to wait for that to come back?
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll take a break real quick.
Take a little break. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're taking a break.
Be right back.
Like a 5-minute break, and then we'll jump into the next session. All right, Patrick. So this one is for Patrick. So we're gonna jump into the next session, cultural identity, basically. And Patrick, you brought something up.
Yeah, when I went to Congo, you know, it was tough. When I went there, it was a real culture shock. I really learned there that I am American first. You know, like over there, the people be like, "Oh, I'm Congolese American." You know, when you come here, and that's what I represent. Oh, I'm Congolese first, and I'm American. But when I went over there, it was like, no, I'm truly American first, and Congolese second. And they gave me a nickname. That nickname was Le Congolais Perdu.
What does that mean to our Congo people, French-speaking people? What does that mean?
Désolé.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Pretty much, I'm the lost Congolese.
Aww.
And that was how they would call me. Like I was walking around, oh, Le Congolais Perdu. I'm like,
That's so sad.
That's a good insult. And that was
Yeah.
the first time going to Congo. That's
that was
what
the
they
first
get
time.
to you.
First time. Yeah. But because it's like they would think, because at first I was like, okay, maybe I look different.
Yeah.
But then I'm kind of comparing myself. I'm like, no, I look African.
Yeah, you look African.
You know what I'm saying?
You look
I fit in. But then like as they started interacting, they would be like
the accent and everything.
not even accent. They would say something in like the native tongue, and I'd be like,
Exactly.
yeah, and that's what they'd be like, you don't speak the language, like where you? And I'd be like, because they're so intrigued with me because I'm from America.
Yeah.
So they want to get to know me and stuff, but then it's like I can't tell them nothing because I don't speak the language. They're like, oh my gosh, you're lost, like you're really lost, and it hurt me.
One down.
And it hurt me. It hurt me. But I'm not the only one. But apparently we have more of the same story.
Oh, les deux parties.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was saying when it comes to like cultural identity, you know, relating to people. But I have cousins that like they all like back in Togo, apparently, they all went to like the same high school, had the same headmaster. So I've been here since I was 7. Well, I grew up here. So when I'm sitting among them, I actually have a poem about it. I feel like an outsider because they're all like talking and gisting, and there's like internal jokes I don't understand because they only happen like on the high school campuses. And they're like, oh, your accent is, they always pick on me with my, about my accent. Funny enough, one of them was like, we make fun of you, but we want the American accent. So I'm like, you know, cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I still can't relate to them because they're mean. They're mean.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to my cousins, like when they come here, they want to be like us, like who are kind of, because I was kind of, you know, growing up here, I was Congolese by household, but outside in the world, like when I would tell some of my friends, they'd be like, oh no, you American, bro, until they hear my last name or something. Oh, you from Congo? I'm like, yeah. So like from my cousins, when they came here, they were trying to tell me like, hey, we wanted to be American, you know, we wanted to be, you know, Black American, to be a part of the culture, to the point where like 3 of my cousins, all male, came here, and when it comes to like choosing their wives, they all choose Black American women. They don't choose like African women from Congo. They like reject it. Like, nah, bro. Like, I don't even. It just is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
But me, I'm like, nah, I at least got to get me an African woman. But they're like, nah, I'm gonna get me an African American man. I'm gonna stick that route. And I'm like, that's interesting to see, because I would think by y'all coming from there, at least being born, something resonates. But they all got African American, girlfriends.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do see, like, after a while, is there pressure to kind of become modernized or westernized if you've been here after a long time? I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but do y'all feel that pressure?
Initially, when I first came here, there was the first culture shock was the terminology, language. Like, for example, I didn't know what restroom is. We know bathroom, toilet. What restroom? What is restroom? Do you go there to rest? I'm taking it literal. Like restroom. Do you go there to sleep? Oh, you mean the toilets? Chineke. I'll go to a teacher and I'll say, I want to go and ease myself. Like, what is she talking about? That means I want to go pee, something like that. But back home, so I'm hearing the other kids say, "Oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go to the restroom." Like, what's the restroom? So I follow them to the restroom. Oh, so this is what people are talking about, the restroom. Hi, Chineke. The terminology, and sometimes I had a difficult time understanding the teachers. So they put me in the ESL class.
I was in ESL.
That was messed up.
Yeah.
But
ESL,
but understanding, they talk so fast. The R's. So I had to and just terminology. Certain things. Like, for example, trunk. We call it boot back home. Bonnet is called what you call a hood. We call it bonnet back home. So like the terminology is totally different. So that was one of the biggest cultural shock for me, and also cultural identity wise. Of course, I'm Nigerian. We got called all kinds of names back then. They made me feel like being Nigerian, being from Africa was the worst thing you can ever be. I was called all kinds of. Was it African
booty scratcher?
African booty scratcher.
Put that out there. African booty scratcher.
All Africans have AIDS.
Yes.
AIDS. Don't touch me. The kids were mean back then. But I'm
mean.
telling you, the kids were mean.
Yeah.
I was like, I was 12 years old, so I'm like, that kind of brought and I'm far away from home. I'm like 10,000 miles away from home, so I can't get on the bus and go back home. I hated it here. I wanted to go back. I was crying every weekend. I was 12 years old. And these kids were making fun of me, and I was like,
just for being who you are,
just for being Nigerian, just for being from. They make fun of my hair. Your hair is nappy. You don't wear Nikes. You don't wear Jordans. Your jeans. I was made fun of every single day. Like, I would come to class. This is like middle school. I would come to class and I want to.
Middle school was
I want to
rough,
sit in the
bro.
back.
Yeah,
I want to sit in the
middle
back.
School was rough.
It's rough. I want to sit.
Did you take the bus home? That
I
was
walked home.
Oh, that was a dead area. If you
yeah,
took the bus home, you were done, bro. You were done.
They would cook.
You had to fight. Yeah.
They would cook
because it's a confined space where everybody can hear the roasting.
Oh my God!
So it's like you can't do nothing.
And nobody will come to your rescue.
Nobody comes to your rescue. They laugh.
Like, no, stop messing with him.
Yeah.
They'll be laughing at you.
Yeah, they laugh at you.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you had to learn the art of picking on whoever was laughing at you. So like, if somebody's making fun of me, and I know I can't get him back because he's fresh, he got all the nice clothes, everything. If somebody that I knew was like worse than me, I'm gonna look at you and be like, "What are you laughing at?" Start roasting them because I got to get the angle off me. I'm like, "Dang, I know," but it's hard, man.
The pressure
is hard.
In
man.
the beginning, it's like, okay, I want these kids to stop making fun of me. I'm tired of being the laughing stock.
Yeah.
I want to blend in. That was my mindset back then. So in an attempt to blend in, that's when a lot of Africans that come here, they get lost. They start trying to, they want to talk like African Americans. They want to walk the swag. They want to sag their pants. They want to you want to look the parts, even though you will never be who they are. You're African. As I grew up, I realized I used to be like, I used to be trying to be like, then when I turned 20 or something, after high school and all that stuff, all that roasting, that's when I realized, man, I'm Nigerian. I can't be these people. I have to be who I am. And the moment I discovered my own identity or realized my own identity, that's when I started to be more comfortable in myself and more confident in who I am. This is who I am. I'm not American. It's okay not to be American. It's also okay not to talk like American. It's okay to have an accent. It's okay to be from Africa. It's okay to eat with your hands, eat, swallow, fufu. It's okay. This is your culture. You're not American. So when I started accepting myself for who I am, that's when I started making more friends. I started, even those people that used to make fun of me, now they respect me because now I'm being authentic.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm glad I did because there are a lot of people that continued onto that path of being lost. Yeah. There are men that I know that I went to school with they're still doing the, and trying to act like American. I'm like, I can see through you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not judging them. But I'm like, you're from Ghana, man. Come on, don't try to sound like that. But
Is that the same for everybody else? When y'all came here, was there that pressure to change and become more Americanized?
I was born here and I was bullied, and I sounded like them, but due to my last name, they're like, you African booty scratcher, you this. So I was born and raised here and was still bullied every day. It was so crazy. I was very tall, I matured very early, so it was the worst. But, now, I'm grateful there's like an appreciation of African culture, African music in America. It's nice seeing it. When you were on the other end of I was still very proud. Like my mom gave me the choice of, do you want them to call you Christine at school, or do you want them to call you Adana? And I was like, Adana, so it was like, you still were proud even until now. So yeah.
I'm very proud of where I am, man. I'm happy to be where I am.
What about those?
For sure.
Who's maybe came here the shortest amount? Who's the newest?
Who's been here the least?
Who's been here the least?
Like maybe 5 years, 10 years.
That's probably me.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah. I'm so glad, listening to these stories. I'm so glad I was not in this country, for high school.
Yeah.
I had my own suffering because I still, I was born in Zimbabwe, but we left when I was young to go to another country. So I was called a foreigner my whole life. I was bullied too for just being a foreigner. And Zimbabwe has just never been good politically. And we would get laughed at for our dollar. Yeah. We would get laughed at for, inflation. So I was bullied for that. But I think what it was maybe when I was in public school, I was bullied more. But when I went to private school, then I had to work hard to try and find my own identity amongst non-black people. By that, I mean white people. So I don't know. I really can't relate to this. When I came to America, I think the biggest thing was, obviously there's a culture shock. Obviously there's a shock, the food, everything is different. But I never got pressure to sound like anybody. Because I've just been sounding like me. And I do hate it though when everybody or an American or any other person here in America says, oh, you've got an accent, where are you from? No, let's just talk. Let's pretend we didn't hear the accent, because I just, let's just pretend. I wish we could do that. Nobody has to know where I'm from. We have this, the situation in Ukraine. I don't mean to be political, but I met a Ukrainian, and currently the president of Zimbabwe and the president of Russia, they're really buddy. So I met a Ukrainian and he was like, where are you from? And I was like, well, I was born in Zimbabwe. He was like, Zimbabwe. See, we would not have had to have that awkward moment if you didn't ask me where I'm from. Should it matter where I'm from? Can we just not live life not caring about where anybody is from? But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. You have to be from somewhere. There has to be pressure.
Yeah.
For me, I came when I was 19. So I came when I was 19 and did college year. So I'll say I was kind of bullied from Nigerians myself here, because I didn't conform to the American accent. When I talk, they say, oh, but you have been in America for a while and you still speak like you are living in Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, I was born and raised in Nigeria. I lived there from 18. I came here when I was 18, and how do I want to speak? So I wasn't bullied by the Americans here or the Nigerian Americans here. I was in the Nigerian community in college. My community were Nigerians, so I don't think I felt that pressure of the African, Buddhist culture or anything. But I felt it from my fellow Nigerians, and most of them were born and raised back in Nigeria like me, and maybe they have been living here longer than I have, and they want me to be American. speak like an American, have the American accent, live like an American.
Yeah.
So those are the people that actually bullied me.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Your own
I thought you
people,
were gonna
your
say
own people,
Nigerian
But
man.
my own people bully me too, though.
Oh man.
Yeah, my own people. Bully.
And I mean, and you don't have to go through that because that's mainly like middle school, high school, kids. As you came during your adult years, so of course your experience might be a little different.
I was gonna add to that, like being bullied in your own community, because even till today, when I say comfort, people will say comfort.
Comfort.
And
Comfort, including me.
and like I'll go to like African restaurants, or especially if I'm on the phone, I'm like, this is comfort. I want to order jollof rice and a goose, not N, but vegetable soup. They're like, what's your name again? Comfort. Then I have to change my accent.
Yeah.
Comfort.
Comfort.
They're like, one lady one day was like, oh, is it comfort that you are saying like that?
She sounds like she's
your own
Nigerian.
name.
She had to be Nigerian.
So it's like, yeah, your own people can bully you too. But for me, it's still
Comfort.
frustrating. Like even in my own family, But my mom's side, they accept me as I am. But you go a little bit towards your dad's side, they're like, oh, you're Americanized. They still want to have the accent, but they'll still make fun of you. Like, it's just a name. Comfort. It's comfort. Like comfort. Comfort.
Comfort.
It's so violent.
It's so sad.
I feel like it's projecting, like.
And then to add to that, I think because we have to grow like in a different culture, I think we show up as like we have different selves depending on where we're at.
That's true.
Like, for example, me changing my accent is bringing a different version of myself, basically, and it's annoying, but yeah.
So why do you've been here? When did you come here? You were how old when you came here?
7.
Okay.
7.
7. So okay. So how come you have an American accent? I thought she was born here though. She has an American
Yeah, the
accent.
first time he met me, like he and his friend were like, "Oh, why are you eating the?"
I did not like her. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Why are you eating the vegetables? I had nails on, so obviously it's not like I can't grab it like this. So my nails had like, oh, you're acting too American. They kept making fun of me.
Yeah.
We was on her, right?
It's so annoying.
Oh yeah, man. That was some really good points, man. Honestly.
Hey, but I didn't know that we can get made fun of by people in our culture.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
Americans and
Why can't you speak the language?
Oh,
Like
speaking
why are you
language, that's
struggling? Why are you struggling with the language? You don't pronounce it like this. You don't do it like this.
Why are you saying water? It's water. Water.
It's water.
But it is water.
It is
That's
water.
how I
Yeah.
learned it. It's water.
It's
Yeah,
water.
it's water.
It's
water.
water.
Yeah.
Water.
With a D. Water.
Jollof rice.
Water.
Water.
Patrick, say it with me. Water.
However you say
Water.
it.
Water. So he's a good example of internal.
People that bully their fellow.
Yeah.
But you see, he said there was a place where it was coming from because he got bullied too.
So projection.
They're projecting.
I never said that. I didn't say I was bullied.
They taught us this in therapy.
Making fun of him. Now he's making fun of his fellow Nigerians.
No,
It's the same thing.
Those kids, they were very, very strategic when they say things like that.
Yeah.
They wait when I wear my worst outfits.
Yeah, yeah,
When I wear my Nikes, they don't say anything.
Yeah.
The days that I'm slipping, I didn't get a haircut, I didn't get my line cut. Oh,
Yeah,
look at your haircut,
Yeah.
But nah, they made fun of me, but I wasn't. I didn't say I was bullied. You know what I'm saying? Like I just, the words they would say to you, go back to Africa. You people have, and it's black kids. The white kids never say anything.
Right.
Mexican kids didn't say anything. It's the black kids.
Right.
Yeah.
At some point, I started hating them. I was like, I hate you people. Then one of them, I actually walked up to her. I was like, I hate you. The guy walked up to me. He was like, he looked at me and he's like, Kingsley, I hate you. I was like, I hate you too. You go back to Africa. Come on, follow me now. Like I stood my ground. I was like, yeah, I don't care. Like I hate you too. I don't like you.
But what is it though?
Huh?
What is it? Because at the end of the day, are African Americans not Africans that just
They don't
only
see. That's the thing.
came
Most of them
here?
don't, back then, they don't believe that they're Africans.
Okay.
They look at you as
they're
like,
not
oh, I'm
African.
American. You're African.
Right.
You're the African. You're the booty scratcher, not me.
Yeah.
Man, we
Right.
got the same skin. We look alike.
Yeah.
Like okay. Anyway, so we're gonna move on to like perceptions and expectations. So the question for that is: so how do first generation Africans perceive African immigrants? So how do they perceive us when we come here? meet you, first time they meet you, how do you
So I
think
guess this is
they
for me,
perceive?
yeah.
How do they
Us.
perceive you?
How do they perceive me?
How
do I
do
perceive-
people like you, Patrick,
Yeah, perceive.
perceive people like me?
I mean, you been. So I'll say. Now I'll say this.
That one has
There
been
is
weird.
a difference. Like if
Vice
you just came here from Congo,
Yeah.
I'm not the right person to kind of. I'm not the one to really.
Yeah.
You know,
the way.
You make the way. Hey, come on, brother. Let's do this. You might want to find other people who are brand new to this thing called America,
Just think-
and try to make
This
it
thing
work.
called America?
But there's a difference, you know, and I hate that it's like that. You know, I want to show you capitalism and show you other things that, you know, of how the world works, how to navigate. But our worlds are too different. You know what I'm saying? It's just too different for me to explain how to navigate this thing.
Yeah.
But you still my brother.
Yeah, of course, of course.
I think if you're both open, like it can work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're both open, it can work. You know?
So let me
because I've had an experience with that.
Talk,
Yeah.
communication.
So, let me,
Yeah. I think if you're both open, it can work.
What does that look
Like,
like?
I don't want to bring like my personal affairs, but
An
like
example.
for example, if somebody comes from Nigeria, right? They're new, and you know, you guys are talking. He comes over here, then you guys are dating or whatever. If he's open to like maybe your lifestyle or like you being able to teach him some things, it can work. And also you as the girl, if you're open to like him showing you like, you know, maybe how he would want things if you guys were in Nigeria, then it can work.
Can I ask a question to you real quick?
Yeah.
Just from us being here, would you say that it would work with somebody who just moved here from Africa?
It can. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I have friends who have
experience
gone to
I'm like-
Nigeria and married a man,
And came
then they
back.
bring them over. So it's just all
And
about.
they grew up and they were like born here like you and me?
Yeah. They were born here. They
Oh,
go
yeah?
to Nigeria. Yeah. They go and
I can't
marry.
do that. I tried.
And then
It was a train
so
wreck.
it's like if you're like a lot of people will tell me like, oh, you can like maybe someone like me, they'll be like, oh, I can never do that, and then some other girls will be like, oh yeah, like it's easy.
Really?
So if you're open to it, if the guy is open to it, it can work.
So is there some such thing as being too traditional? Like, now you too traditional. Like, I can't. That's too much.
It depends. Like
You
if the
say
guy,
yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
some
Yes, okay.
things like if he's like, you know, I don't know. There's some things that are like, maybe traditional is not the word. Like it maybe like abusive or too controlling.
Too
like
rigid.
people try to label those things as traditional. I don't think those things are traditional. That's like a personal character trait.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might extend into something else, but yeah, like people can put like a bad characteristic under the umbrella of
tradition,
culture or
yeah.
tradition.
Yeah.
Just especially for men. No
Exactly.
offense.
Yeah.
But
No, you're good.
especially for men, if they want to control you, they'll say, "Oh, you know what? I'm traditional."
Yeah, it's our
But if
traditioning,
you are
but
being
that's not
abusive,
true.
that's not traditional. That's
Exactly.
just it. You
And
know.
that's
Most of
a
them
different
don't know the
conversation.
meaning of traditional. It's just like one of these social media trendy words, and now everyone is saying I'm a traditional man.
Yeah,
I'm traditional
that's
man.
not traditional.
What does it mean to be a traditional African man?
Yeah. Let's talk about
Yeah,
it.
let's talk about it. Not what social media or podcast
Yeah.
guys are saying. You know.
What does it mean to be a brother?
To actually,
Just saying, if we go into that, we'll finish this podcast for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Hey, we'll talk about that next time. That's something we have to ask.
So,
What is that?
So let me throw this in there. So
Oh, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta ask. I'm sorry. Kid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
what you gotta ask?
I'm sorry. My dad is a traditional African Congolese man. We don't play. Je joue pas. So, well, you know, we don't mess around when it comes to with strictness.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's personality, but traditional is like not controlling, but control. Like I'm in my position of authority, and I
Head of the
exercise-
household.
Head of the
That's
household.
biblical.
Head of the household, yeah.
That's biblical.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right.
I guess y'all have to define what's the difference between being controlling and traditional, because
Yeah,
most
that's a good question.
African men are like to have control, but what is having control versus being controlling?
I mean, control for them is respect. When they say A, don't say B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, you listen. You accord them the respect of them being the man. That is controlled. Then controlling is them dictating how the household is run. Even though his own, most of them believe in the gender role of a man provides and the woman cooks and nourishes the home, while the man protects and provide. And that is where the control is. I protect, I provide, and that's it. And then they become controlling when they start dictating to the woman our own gender role. Oh, cook, I want you to cook fufu for me in the morning, or 2 a.m. wake up and cook rice and beans, and that is it's saying the difference between controlled and controlling.
The men
yeah, they are men. There was a lady that went viral on Twitter that wakes up 4 a.m. to cook for a Nigerian husband.
Wasn't that Kiss Daniel?
Yeah, and people,
I'm just saying, like,
people gave her fridge.
Give you the specifics of what to cook. Like, you have to.
Yeah,
cook
there's something that there's something that say, my food should not be 2 days old. Any food more than 2 days old, I'm not going to eat it. You have to cook fresh food every day. That's controlling.
That's controlling.
Yeah, controlling, dictating, telling you what to do as your own. They are interfering with your own gender role that they have specified, how you should do it. That's controlling for me.
Oh, wow.
To me, like, one of the ways that I express that I like you is cooking for you. It has never been like a thing. Like, I guess I like cooking too. And like like in college, I would cook for my friends, both male and female, and the males too. They would cook for me, right? So it's not a big deal. Gender roles, it doesn't bother me. Of course, I had to work on that too. But for me, controlling would mean you're not creating an environment where I can also pursue my dreams, because my dreams are very important to me. That's what I see as controlling. Like, oh, you can't go to school. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do this project because you're a woman. For me, cooking isn't a big deal. But my dreams, we need to create an environment where we're working on both our dreams while, the man still leads. Because, man, deep down, I don't want to be doing anything manly.
That's good.
I want to be chill.
That's great. So,
we got to pick this up.
Yeah.
Also,
go ahead.
I feel like also in America, it does require two incomes. I feel like in this economy, it requires that in order to survive, and also the man and the woman both, gender roles, they're still there, but the lines become a little bit blurred. I feel like in America, because you guys both have to contribute and help in the household, so it's harder. But I think in Africa it's easier for there to be gender roles. So
I want to ask this question. All right. So from your standpoint of view, let's say from her.
Okay.
What would you say? So I'm a guy, all right, and I came to America, and then, for instance, and then you. And me as a guy, I like to, especially culture stuff, Igbo, I like to take care of my lady, like to show you out to the world. And then you want to reciprocate that same energy towards me by taking me out. I'm like, no, I'm the guy, you cannot take me out. That brings a lot of imbalance, that brings issues. I'm just saying, what is your point of view on that?
I think it depends on the woman. If you're asking me personally, if my man is he tells me I don't want you to spend money on me, fine.
I'm saying what would you? Because definitely I've met a lot of American women that do want to take their husbands out, take their man out. I'm just saying, but to us as a culture thing, men don't like to. You can cook for us, but I'm saying take us out is different, and that brings a lot of issue. So what would you say? Is that? Are you getting the question?
Maybe, yeah. Explain it a little bit more.
So this is what I'm saying. You as a lady, right? We are in a relationship, and then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm the man. I have to take care of you. I'm gonna take you out.
Keep the mic steady.
Okay, I'm gonna take you out. You go shopping, whatever, and then you start making money, all right? To reciprocate that energy, you want to take me out.
I want to give, yeah.
But giving in the sense that, okay, babe, I'm going to take you out.
Right.
Exactly. So And me as a man, I'm like telling
say
you,
no, you decline.
No, definitely, you're not gonna
Yeah.
take me out. You can get me some stuff, and then it brings issue. Oh, you want to take me out? I'm like, no, you don't understand. It doesn't work that way. According to my culture, the man is
Yeah.
meant to take the ladies out, not the ladies taking the man out. Now, what's your own point of view on that?
I don't understand why it would bring issues, because maybe I'm the wrong person to ask, but I don't know why that would bring issues if my man was like, I think that's what they're supposed to do as a man. Like,
I've met several ladies that didn't like that. They don't want to show their man out.
yeah, it depends, especially your husband, like serving him is fine, you know, like,
And I think it
There's
needs
other ways.
communication.
yeah.
If you communicate and say, "Hey, I don't want you to pay for dinner," I'm not gonna say I'm gonna
yeah,
pay
so
for dinner.
I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I don't know why there would be an issue.
But I want y'all to fight a
I
little
get
bit.
you.
You know, don't just be like, oh, okay, you know, after like, no, come on. Nah.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Get a little fight back.
I would not fight it.
Yeah,
If
go
my
fight
man
it.
is like, no,
More money for
never.
me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if he's like, no, I don't want. You can serve your husband in other ways. Like if he's like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to spend money on me. Like that is fine. That's good.
it's fine
So we
though.
also go
At least get him a gift or something nice.
Yeah,
Not like take
for
him out.
sure.
It's not a little.
Get him a nice cologne.
For sure.
It's not take him shopping or do something like.
So you're saying in instead of like the taking out, the woman should not like just agree. Like she should be like, okay, at least let me get you a gift. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, like a gift would be well accepted than taking the man out.
Okay. I think.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think at first like she would need to ask the guy, like assess like his love language.
Like,
sense.
yeah,
Like, what-
yeah. I was
what-
gonna say the
About
same
love, like,
thing.
this is culture. A lot of Nigerians will not want a lady out. I'm just saying.
That's fine.
for
Just
sure.
communicate.
Exactly.
That's
What
all.
I'm saying essentially is like the woman would need to now ask him, like if she truly is like, okay, like what else can I do then instead of, she would need to ask you like, okay, like what would you like instead of that? You know what I mean?
So
like she
that
said,
would,
communication.
I get you. On that.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. Yeah.
It wouldn't be an issue. But
Yeah.
to most Black Americans, sorry to say.
Black American.
It's an issue. Like if they told a Black American lady, hey, like you shouldn't take me out, like they would
Then
have an issue with it. I don't understand it. Like my mind can't comprehend.
I'm sorry.
There's ladies out there that would say this,
Yeah.
oh, you've been too, so you're moving weird or you something suspicious going
No,
on.
I don't,
Like,
understand. I don't
I'm telling
understand.
you,
I don't
for real.
Let me
understand.
keep my money.
I can never understand
think-
that, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
All right, guys. So
You know.
let's.
I can never understand.
In short, they want to keep
Yeah,
the woman wants to keep their money in their
They want
pocket.
to
They
keep
ain't
them in
gonna
their
fight.
pocket.
No.
But
You want to spend?
I'm not a gold digger. I'm just
Okay.
I'm different.
You did.
it's all right. So
Yeah.
I know we're kind of going off topic. Patrick.
My bad. I just wanted to know the differences.
Yeah, let's.
We got time for one more question, or we?
Yeah, for what kind of question are you gonna ask, Patrick? Is it about men and women, or is it about cultural difference?
No, it's cultural. No, it was cultural differences because I think like some people, like it's different when you hear women born here versus women who come here,
Yeah.
women raised in the in the cultural household, those who reject the culture. It's a variety. So I just wanted to see like, for African women, is there such thing as, too traditional? But I think we kind of solved that a little bit.
Did we talk about that?
I think, and we defined it traditional as controlling. Like that's one example of being too traditional, and
Okay.
that was just an example. But I put quotation marks. It's very valid what everybody said. Everybody
Yeah.
what they say is valid. I mean, for guys, do you want to? Let me ask. Okay, Kenzie, let me ask you. Let me put it to it this way. How long have you been in the States? 6+ years. Okay, somebody who just came 2 weeks ago from Africa. One of your friends or a mother at the church or something says, hey, here's this beautiful girl. She came last week from Nigeria.
Off the boat.
Fresh off the boat. Kinsley, is that something where you're like, what initially goes through your mind? Are you like a traditional Nigerian woman, good? Or are you like, we got to put some seasoning on that? And,
Is that so? For someone, that's a question for someone that's lived here in the U.S.
yes. For you, no, even
Okay,
you.
for me.
For how long?
So
you know,
a woman just came from Nigeria
last week.
and someone wants to match me with her.
We enjoying what you said.
Last week. I'm
Last
talking about
week.
last
Okay.
week. Never been here. Step
Never been
foot
here.
on the soil.
Instead of America?
Last week. A mother at the church says, Kinsley, I found a woman for you. Here she is. She just came last week.
Last week.
Fresh. Don't know nothing about nothing.
Answer the question. I'm so
How,
stressed.
what comes through your mind
So it's just that
for both of y'all?
No,
for
I'll
the
answer the
men.
question and I'll answer it. If I am looking for a wife, and then and she has the qualities that I seek, and that saves me money. But I don't have to pay for visa. I don't have to pay for all of that. All of that is already done. She's already here. Because if I go home to go marry, I have to pay for visa, pay for this, pay for that. She's already here, and I like her. She got good qualities. I don't see why not, to be honest. Because I was born in Nigeria, so why would I wouldn't reject it.
Okay.
Now, someone who was born here, different perspective. But I was born in Nigeria, so I personally prefer people that are born back home. So because we can relate to each other better.
But you can't relate to what you experience here, though, can you?
What do you mean?
Like, I don't know the difference, but let's say there's a difference. Let's say she's like, "Oh, I want to try all these things," and you're like, "Nah, that's like."
She want to try what?
What? Something.
She wants to try. It's not how good now. I'm not worried myself because, like I said, if she was open to it and I'm open to it, I don't have an issue with marrying the girl. If she's open to it, like I said, it saves me money. I don't have to go and pay for ticket and all those things. Because when you go to Nigeria to go and import a wife, you have to go and pay money.
Import.
Did you just use that? They do
Girls
it.
and guys.
They do it.
They do it.
Especially when
It's just a conversation I'm having, but it's happening.
it happens a
Don't
lot.
take it literal.
No, I'm taking it literal.
Yeah, import is
Because
crazy.
this was from a man to a woman.
Import.
Take it. Yeah, if you want to listen to the thing. I don't mind it. Me, I'm not. I don't.
He's
I'm
gonna
not
do it one day.
Yeah, he's gonna do
open.
it.
God
That's what I'm
forbid.
saying. If she's here already, that makes it easier for me. That means she's here already. Because me, I would if I go back home to go and marry, I have to worry about if I pay all this, go through all of this.
He already knows the specifics, so he's gonna do it.
So
No, you thought about this.
answer your question, Patrick.
Yeah, he thought about
Answer
it.
your question,
So it doesn't mean nothing if she came last week, touched the
No.
phone. Okay,
What?
that's fine.
Because
2 months
a
ago
lot of
even.
African men
He
go home
doesn't
to
mind.
marry anyway.
doesn't
So
matter.
Why do you
That's what he
relate more
said.
to like a woman who's born
in Nigeria,
over
because
there
I was
than
born
here?
in Nigeria. So
But-
very simple.
But what makes you relate to her more? That's
Yeah, because
different.
you lived a lot of lifetime over here too.
Right.
Because,
But
but,
that don't mean
I
nothing?
still retain my
traditional.
my
tradition.
Most-
okay.
Most
That's
most
fair enough.
Nigerian
Because
men they want
they don't
to
lose
they want to marry such women because it helps them to be connected to still hold on to their Igbo.
And cooking
Yeah.
the food.
Yeah, because and I think that's why we're here, right? That's part of the reason why we're here to discuss the differences and why we don't relate to each other. So this is why I personally relate to someone that was born back home. Most of
Okay.
my friends are born back home. You were born here, Patrick, right?
I'm born here.
Most of your friends were they born here or born back home? Be honest.
A lot of them born here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
of my friends are born back home. And all these ones all the ones that were born back in Nigeria, most of their friends, I would think they're born back home. You
Yes.
see?
True.
Really?
So,
But-
Oh, okay.
You can still relate to somebody who is born here.
yeah, I can still
You know, like I
can-
have a lot of friends. Exactly, I have a lot of friends who are in relationships with guys who are born in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they can relate to each other very well. The vibe is there, everything. So
and also,
it
and
just
also,
depends.
and also depend. Yeah,
on openness on both
open,
sides.
yeah, and you were open to the culture early on. You wanted to learn from your parents. You know
Yeah.
the culture. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of them are not open to it. They're not as open as some are. So
Yeah, I tried. I mean, one girl was here for 5 years, and that was still kind of like, I'm struggling a little
you can
bit.
still.
I'm struggling a little
Exactly,
bit. But that's how
'cause-
far I was off, though. So I put a lot of that on me too.
Exactly,
Like I was that much detached from the culture.
Yeah.
Off topic though, I mean apart from I think what I've noticed, like she said, most of our friends are dating Nigerian guys born and raised in Nigeria. But I noticed that the Nigerian guys born and raised here, they can't or they don't date Nigerian
they won't
girls
do it.
born and raised back in Nigeria. They
Yeah.
rather date
That's
the
true.
white girls. Oh, I just noticed that's
Or they want a Nigerian American.
Yeah, Nigerian
Yeah, like them. Yeah,
Exactly.
I've
Oh, so I'm not
noticed
alone. Okay, they're just not here on
you're
the
not
set.
alone.
He's a good example.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not alone, Patrick.
Okay,
There's some- yeah, they
I
don't.
feel alone. Yeah, leave, brother. I can't. No,
So preference is also an element then.
I tried.
Yeah.
I experimented. Like
Yeah,
my
that's
my
good.
parents were like,
Experiment.
Guys.
look, we got aim for it, experiment. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I tried.
They need
You know,
to try different
And you guys are
things.
Yeah.
using this when it comes to it. You can't import or experiment.
But the-
It's good. It's good
term we
actually,
use?
so that he knows what he
talk
wants.
to
Yeah,
like
yeah.
When he finds
yeah,
it.
it was like
What's that term we used when Ifeanyi was here? A woman. He said his girlfriend was compliant.
compliance. Oh,
Oh
needs to be compliant. That was
She was like,
He said,
she said his girlfriend is he has good quality. She can cook. She's what's the word?
Nah,
and I was like compliant.
Yeah,
He said, yes.
yeah, she's compliant.
Sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
He meant respect.
What I meant to say, what I actually meant to say was cooperative.
robot.
Like, you know, and I
Compliant was
like,
crazy.
They want to marry robots.
I think submissive.
compliant.
I think submissive.
Yeah. No, I think I meant to say cooperative, then
different from a
compliant.
Compliant came out. That's why it's like compliant is crazy.
let me ask. So let me ask this. So do we think when it comes to still in the perception and do we think Africans, first generation Africans, do we think that they are better than the ones born back home? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
You know, do they think that they're better? Does Patrick think he's better than me, and vice versa? Like, is that?
Y'all think y'all? Well, not y'all.
You know
When I
what?
say
I'm
y'all.
pointing fingers now.
From what I gotten, y'all are better than us. Y'all look down on. I get looked down on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More
so you
than
think
we would look
Africans
down
born
on
in
y'all.
Africa look down on the
Oh,
African.
Yes,
easy,
1,000%.
easy.
1,000%.
Y'all easy.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Y'all, if
When I was
y'all
younger,
could, y'all
I
would
was
spit on
given
me.
a very hard time too. Even
I
though I
think-
can understand Ebo more than my cousins, like I was given a hard time.
Yeah,
Really? You know-
there's no. You're never good enough.
Easy.
Yeah.
Ooh, yo, that reminds me, like, our my dialect. There's different types. There's the one. Did I interrupt someone?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. There's the one you can speak like in the border of Ghana. There's one you can speak like in the capital of Togo, which is Lome. And there's one that you speak in our village.
Yeah, like the
Me, even like my cousins back home, they can't speak it,
Yeah.
but they'll still make fun of me. Like I can get on the phone with my great uncles, like
Understand them.
yes,
Keep
because
up,
it's
yeah.
a totally different intonation, and they'll tell me, "How do you speak it?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm Americanized, right?"
Yeah. Throw it back in their face. Yeah, that's why I try to speak the language.
And
a
I
little
want to
bit.
know why that is too.
Yeah.
Like it's not all Africans that will look down on like
Yeah.
those that were born in America, but the ones that do, I'm like, why? And what I've been told is like, oh, you didn't go through the same thing I went through.
And I mean, they feel because
Yeah.
the whole traveling outside overseas to UK and US, they feel you guys have the easy life. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to struggle for the immigration stuff. You don't have to. You usually live the dream, the American dream. Why they have to hustle to live the American dream, which you were given right from birth?
I can see, yeah.
That's why you gotta hate me. I can't control what I'm
I
born.
think
Exactly.
I think, I think it's because the reason why Africans that come to U.S. think they're better than the ones that are born in the U.S. is because they're looking at it from a cultural perspective. Like, I know more than you culturally. I speak Igbo better than you. I know how to cook egusi soup better than you. What do you even know? You know, so it's like that. They're looking down on the ones that are born here. Right? They're not qualified. You see what I'm saying? That's where it's coming from. It's not like, oh, I'm a better person than you because, you know, they're looking at it from a cultural standpoint. Like, for example, they don't look at white people the same way. They don't look at white people and say, oh, I'm better than you. No. They look at the fellow black Africans born in the U.S. You're not culturally qualified. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't allow my son to marry you because I want one from the village. I want Chidima from the village to marry my son. Because you, as an African born in the U.S., you're not culturally qualified to marry my son. That kind of thing.
Hey.
You see what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from. I don't think it's like as human beings. It's more like cultural.
Culturally, yeah.
Culturally.
But I know more. I'm more educated. I don't know.
I think, you know, and
I
it's
don't know.
the ones that, you know, African immigrants, I think some of them think that the opposite. I think that some of the Africans born in the U.S. are better than them, or they look down on them. Think, you know, they're one archaic, smelly somebody.
Oh, because of like poverty or something.
I guess, yeah. So the American Africans born in America tend to, sometimes they look down on the other one, you know, too. So
Yeah,
I think it
that's
goes
true.
both
Sometimes,
ways.
yeah.
Like,
For me, I think it's more of the like stereotype. The average
the
black
stereotype.
American, you know, you see him on the streets like smoking and that stereotype basically, you know, like, okay, let's have I came from Nigeria, right? And then I saw that I'm black American, like he's smoking, he's sagging, he's doing it. I'm like, no. From where I'm coming, we're taught to be responsible. And then I see you, get here, like I'm not gonna associate myself with you in that sense. Like I feel like I'm better than you in every way. So it's that stereotype that, you know, black American, they don't do better for themselves. I have to be, you know, very I don't want to say something controversial now.
But you have to carry yourself better than that.
Exactly. I just have to be,
carry
you know,
yourself
to be
better.
honest, but in that sense, you know, that stereotype that Black Americans, they don't do better for themselves.
Yeah.
You know.
But what about like Africans like myself? Do you see like if I was Nigerian, I'm like, yeah, I don't speak no language, nothing.
You're my brother at the end of the day, but
Okay.
I would still.
Because you're not lazy.
Yeah, but I would still that. You know, I'm still your guy because in the sense, think about it this way: there is you Black Americans, you're done like you've not been to the farm. You've not done stuff that I've done. Like I grew up like you know, the hard way, but I had this soft life. You know, so in that sense, I might look down on you, but I'll still give you a respect.
Okay.
I say that. Okay,
That's what it is.
Patrick,
I get respect just because I'm Congo.
Patrick, I'm better than you. There you go.
That's messed up, bro.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. But I think okay. So I want to ask one last question before we wrap it up. So, am I still recording?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Everything good, yeah.
Okay.
Last
So
question.
so would any of you ever go back home?
To live?
Ever
And
yeah,
live
to live?
there?
Would you ever
Like
go back?
retire?
Would you
I
ever
would
go back
retire.
home? Retire? Even the ones that are
Immediately.
born here.
I would
like,
retire.
Okay.
I would
Oh, wow,
retire
that was
back home.
quick.
Yeah, like come on, like
Yeah.
my perception, even as a woman, is let me make enough money to the point where if I want to retire anywhere in the world, I can do that. Okay, my mom has taught me, like, just because you're a woman shouldn't mean you should limit yourself financially, right? So even if, like I've said this to people, even if I'm making more than the man, I'll still respect you. Of course, let's make enough money and retire and go to, I don't know, Zanzibar. Come on,
That's
man,
why I'm
let's
looking
buy
at
an
Zanzibar.
island.
Yeah, I'm looking there, yeah. I'm looking at Zanzibar. I'm looking
That's
at
the
people.
yeah, Zanzibar is beautiful,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
That's Tanzania, right?
Live by the water, buy a
yeah,
house, expand.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. That's interesting. Would y'all live anywhere outside of your native country?
Yeah,
I would, yeah.
Morocco.
I would.
Yes.
Morocco?
I would retire
Yeah, she went to
in
Morocco.
Morocco?
Yeah, Morocco is amazing.
South Africa, anybody? No?
South,
I don't know about
Ghana,
Ghana.
Ghana is good.
Ghana?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have family there too, so it's like if I wanted to do business too, that I would, you know, bring in passive income to maintain the fact that I'm living there. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Kids?
Okay. Anyone else want to add something before we wrap it up?
Last comments, concerns?
Last comments, anything concern you
It
want
was
to
a lot,
add?
yeah.
Man, it has been a great topic. Thank you. Shout out to all the guests. Thank you so much for coming. You guys really, really good job. This is Kingsley again. Patrick.
From Congo, you already know.
Oh my
Represent.
God.
Appreciate y'all tuning
Cultural
in.
mindset. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see
All
you
right.
guys next
Peace.
time. Thank you so much.